He said we were strangers. He said he found me in the woods. So why does his house smell like my favorite flowers? Why does his touch feel like lightning? And why did I find a wedding ring hidden in his drawer? That fits my finger perfectly. Chapter 1. Silence, heavy, suffocating. Clara's eyelids flew open. No sky, no leaves, just a ceiling, white, sterile, glaring. The air tasted of bleach and antiseptic. But underneath the chemical sting, something else lingered. Musk, wet earth, rain, thump, thump, thump. Her heart slammed against her ribs like a trapped bird. Oxygen vanished. Panic clawed at her throat. She bolted upright. The doctor had called her a hiker. Clara, a civilian who slipped down a ravine, trauma-induced amnesia. Lies. Her body didn't feel broken. It felt coiled, loaded. She stared at her hands, steady as stone. Hikers didn't wake up scanning for exits. Hikers didn't calculate kill zones. She swung her legs out. Bare soles slapped the freezing tile. A wave of vertigo crashed into her. She swayed. Instinct took over, feet widened. Chin tucked. Hands flew up to guard her jugular. She froze. The stance was perfect. Lethal, who am I? Hello? Her voice was rusted scrap metal. No answer. Just the rhythmic beep. Beep. Of the monitor she'd ripped off. She moved to the window. Iron vines curled over the glass. Pretty, impenetrable, outside a forest of endless pines loomed, dark, ancient. A cage, acid flooded her mouth. Every nerve ending screamed. Run, she lunged for the heavy oak door, gripped the brass handle. A vibration shuddered through the wood. Low, resonant. A rumble that started in the floorboards and traveled up her arms, a growl. Breath hitched in her lungs. Logic dictated fear. Logic said hide. Clara leaned closer. Her pulse skipped, not from terror but anticipation. The sound wrapped around her spine. Deep, angry, familiar. It didn't repel her. It pulled. Her knuckles bleached white against the brass. The monster in the hall felt more like home than the room. She didn't know her own name, but she knew she wanted to let the beast in.
Dominic squeezed the doorframe. Crack. Oak splintered under his grip. Sharp shards pierced his skin. He welcomed the sting. It was the only thing grounding him. Control Alpha, Dr. Aris murmured. Dominic ignored him. He burned a hole through the one-way glass. Clara, she stood by the door, pale, fragile, but that stance. Warrior, mine. The beast inside his chest slammed against his ribs. It howled to shatter the glass, to storm the room, to bury its nose in her neck and inhale. Claim her. Mark her. The block is absolute, Aris warned. The doctor stepped closer, smelling of rubbing alcohol and fear. Force the memories and her brain bleeds out. She remembers the torture, she dies. Dominic squeezed his eyes shut. The image of her broken body on the ravine floor flashed behind his lids. You must be a stranger, Dominic. Truth is a bullet. Dominic swallowed. His throat felt lined with razor blades. He had to murder his own life. Protocol, Aris prompted. Am Dominic, he rasped. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. Territory Alpha. I found her 3 days ago. We have never met. The ring, Dominic's hand flew to his chest. Beneath the black cotton, the gold band seared a brand into his skin. Hidden, the word tasted like ash. Good, Aris exhaled. Let her go to keep her. Every instinct rebelled. His wolf paced in the black corners of his mind, snapping its jaws, demanding its mate. Dominic forced the golden power down. He built a wall of iron will around the beast. He opened his eyes, obsidian, cold. He looked at the woman who held his soul in her palms, the woman who would look at him with blank eyes. I'm ready. He released the doorframe. 4 deep gouges marred the wood. He straightened his jacket, adjusted the mask. Benevolent Alpha, stranger. He reached for the handle, time to break his own heart.
Lock clicked. Clara scrambled back. Distance meant survival. The door swung inward. A giant entered. He consumed the space, shoulders straining black fabric, hair the color of midnight messy like he'd been dragging his hands through it. And his eyes, storm clouds. He halted. He didn't smile. He just existed. Intense, overwhelming. The air turned solid. You're awake! The voice vibrated in her marrow. A baritone rumble wrapped in velvet. Heat flushed her skin, not a fever, something primal. Who are you? She tried to project strength. She sounded brittle. He took a step, predator's grace, silent, fluid, Alpha Dominic. He stopped out of striking range. My patrol found you, you were hurt. Alpha, the title sparked a flicker in her brain, then vanished. I don't remember. I know, his jaw clamped. Tendons strained in his neck. He looked like a man enduring torture. Clara stepped forward, a marionette pulled by an invisible string. Danger radiated off him like heat from a furnace. Yet her body loosened. Safe. "Thank you," she said, "for saving me." She extended her hand. He stared at her palm like it was a grenade. Hesitation. Then he reached out. His grip engulfed hers, calloused, rough, scorching, zap, not static, lightning. Current shot up her arm, seizing her heart. She gasped, looked up. For a microsecond, the mask slipped. Gold flared in his irises, raw, agonizing hunger. He looked at her like a starving man viewing a banquet. He squeezed, desperate, possessive. Then the wall slammed back down. He ripped his hand away, stepped back. "Rest," he commanded, voice gritty. "Doctor's orders." Clara cradled her tingling fingers. He turned. Light caught a silver chain at his neck. The outline of a ring pressed against his shirt. Why did the loss of his touch feel like a physical wound?
A ride was hell, confined space, recycled air. Her scent filled the SUV. Vanilla, ozone, the perfume of his life before the nightmare. His wolf scratched at the back of his throat, whining, touch, lick, soothe. He parked, led her inside the estate. "Incredible," she whispered. She drifted through the foyer, eyes tracing the timber beams. She paused at the hallway table. Fingers brushed a violet petal. "Bluebells," she murmured. "My favorite." Dominic's stomach bottomed out. He'd forgotten to toss them. "Coincidence," he choked. He had to get her upstairs, away, before he grabbed her face and kissed the memory back into her. "Your room this way." They ascended. The corridor stretched out. The gauntlet. They had to pass the master suite. The door was shut. Behind it lay the wreckage of their marriage, the bed. Her silk robe hooked on the door. Clara slowed. She stopped, pivoted toward the mahogany. She reached out. Fingertips grazed the molding. "Who lives there?" Dominic's lungs seized. "No one." The lie was swift. "Rot." "Storage," she frowned, tilted her head. "It feels warm." She reached for the brass knob. "Clara." The command cracked like a whip. She flinched, eyes wide, confused, hurt. Regret acid burned his gut. "Guest room is down the hall," he said, forcing softness into the grit. "Better view." She glanced at the master door one last time, nodded. "Okay." He ushered her into the guest suite. Beige, impersonal, cold. "Sleep," he said. He hovered on the threshold. Entering was dangerous. "Dominic," he looked back. She looked small in the center of the alien room. "Why does this house smell like you?" The question hit him like a sledgehammer. She could smell his mark on the walls, the phantom echoes of their bond, quiet roared between them. "Just a house, Clara." He shut the door. Forehead rested against the wood. He listened to her soft footsteps retreating, safe, alive, stranger. Dominic realized the truth then. Saving her life was going to destroy him.
Silence pressed against Clara's eardrums. Heavy, a physical weight. Cotton sheets felt like sandpaper. She thrashed, kicked the duvet away. Heat radiated from her bones, too hot. Moonlight sliced through the window, a silver blade cutting the dark. It wasn't peaceful. It was an interrogation. Get up. The command didn't come from her brain. It fired from her solar plexus. A hook in her sternum tugging. She sat up, gasping. Sweat cooled on her neck. Logic screamed stay. Instinct screamed move. Instinct won. She slid off the mattress. Bare feet met the hardwood. Silence. She ghosted into the hallway. Shadows stretched like ink spills between the beams. Her body moved on autopilot. Left foot, right foot. Sidestepped the warped plank. She stopped, blinked. How did her muscles know the geography of a stranger's floor? She faced the door. Storage. Lies. Storage didn't hum. Storage didn't leak a scent of cedarwood and dark spice that made her mouth water. Clara reached out. Fingers buzzed. Static electricity arced before she even touched the brass. Click. Unlocked. She pushed. Hinges sighed. She stepped into the gloom. Moonlight drenched the space, not a closet. A sanctuary. A massive California king dominated the center, dark linens. Pillows indented as if someone had just risen. Loneliness saturated the air. Thick. Suffocating, it tasted of ash and longing. She drifted to the dresser. Fingers trailed over the polished wood. Dust motes swirled in her wake. She froze at the right nightstand. Her hand shot out, fast, precise. She yanked the top drawer. Oak groaned against oak, empty except for a pen, and a shadow in the back corner. Velvet. She pulled out the black box. Thump, 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 thump. Her pulse hammered against her throat. Don't. She flicked the lid. A diamond flared in the dim light. Solitaire. Platinum band. Breathtaking, terrifying. She plucked it from the velvet. The metal was ice against her feverish skin. She looked at her left hand. The ring finger looked naked. Wrong. Focus snapped to that circle of platinum. She brought it to her knuckle, just a test, just a second. She pushed, no resistance, no friction. It slid home. Snap. It settled at the base of her finger like it grew there, a perfect fit. Oxygen fled the room. She stared at the diamond. It didn't look like jewelry. It looked like a shackle. It looked like a promise. A barrier fractured in her mind. A dam cracking under pressure. "Who are you, Dominic?" The whisper vanished into the dark. And God, who was she?
Amber liquid trembled in the glass. Dominic stared at the whiskey. He didn't drink, creak. The sound was microscopic, the groan of timber under weight, to a human silence, to an alpha, a gunshot, floorboard 7, master suite hallway. The wolf inside him snapped its head up, mate, territory, intruder. No. He slammed the glass down, whiskey splashed, staining the mahogany. He moved, not a walk, a blur. He took the stairs in 3 bounds. Please be the bathroom, please be lost. He hit the landing. The master door stood agape. His heart seized, stopped. He stalked to the threshold. Clara stood by the nightstand. Moonlight turned her skin to alabaster, a ghost, the specter of the woman he destroyed. Then the flash, starlight glinting off her hand. She spun around, eyes wide, pupils blown, panic radiating off her in sour waves. "You said we were strangers." Her voice trembled. A leaf in a storm. Dominic stepped in, hands raised, appeasing the prey. "Clara, you said you found me in the woods," she shouted. The sound cracked. "You said you didn't know me." She shoved her hand toward him. The diamond blazed, a beacon of his failure. "Why was this in your drawer? Why does it fit perfectly?" Quiet was annihilated. Nausea roiled in his gut. The lie clawed at his throat, tasting of copper. He looked at the ring. He remembered the day he slid it on, the vow to protect. To protect her now, he had to gut her. He inhaled. The air felt like broken glass. "Listen. Tell me the truth." Tears spilled, silver tracks on pale cheeks. "Who am I? Why have I been here before?" Her sense spiked, acrid distress, burning ozone, the trauma block. It was buckling. Eris's warning screamed in his head. She remembers, she dies. He had to be the villain. He hardened his face, locked the wolf in a steel cage. "It fits," he said, voice dead, flat, "because it belonged to my wife." Clara went rigid. Her hand dropped an inch. "Your wife. My late wife." The words were acid. "She died 3 years ago." Clara crumpled. The fight drained out of her, replaced by a hollow, crushing confusion. "Oh," the sound was small, wounded. Dominic took a step. He had to twist the knife, ensure the memory stayed buried. "You remind me of her," he whispered. "That's why I brought you here. That's why the ring fits. You have her hands, cruelty, pure and simple." He used her own death as a weapon against her. Clara stared at the ring. Horror dawned. Looked like she'd been slapped. I didn't know." She clawed at the band, fingers shaking, desperate to remove the violation. "Keep it." The command tore out of him, rough, grating. He couldn't watch her take it off. It would shatter him. "What?" She looked up, wet lashes. "Keep it on," he rasped. He spun around, faced the window. "Just for tonight, please." He couldn't look at her. The wolf was howling, clawing at his insides, demanding he turn around and fall to his knees. Stillness reclaimed the room. He stared into the black forest. He had saved her life. Again. So why did it feel like he just ripped out his own heart?
The platinum band seared her skin. A brand. Clara sat on the edge of the mattress. She twisted the metal. Left. Right. Dominic called her a reminder, a hollow echo of a dead woman. Thief. She wasn't Clara the survivor. She was the replacement. The walls of the guest room seemed to breathe, compressing the air. Suffocating, she needed out. She threw on jeans and a soft cotton tee. The fabric hugged her torso. Too familiar. She fled outside. The estate sprawled. Endless emerald lawns crashing into a wall of dark pines. The air bit her cheeks, crisp, laced with damp mulch and decay. Her feet carried her to a garden patch near the tree line. Overgrown, wild, weeds strangled the flower beds, yet amidst the chaos, purple heads bowed. "His favorite," she murmured. The words bypassed her brain. They tasted of sugar and grief. Clara knelt. Mud soaked the knees of her jeans. She needed to ground herself, stop the centrifuge spinning in her skull. A gardening trowel lay in the tall grass. Rusted, forgotten, she reached out. Cold iron met her palm, flash, perspective warped. She didn't just lift the tool, she flipped it. Muscle memory hijacked her nervous system. 1 second, the trowel was dirt-bound. The next, it was a blur of steel. She caught the handle in a reverse grip, slashed sideways, swish, air hissed. The motion was surgical, vicious. Clara froze. She stared at the rusty garden implement pressed against her forearm. A blade ready to gut. Thump thump. Adrenaline flooded her veins, not fear, power. Hikers tied shoelaces, hikers read maps. They didn't wield garden tools like karambits. She dropped the trowel. Clang. It struck a rock. She scrambled back, breath coming in ragged gasps. What am I? The wind offered no answer. But deep in the marrow of her bones, something ancient uncoiled, and it was hungry.
Dominic stood sentinel at the office window. Below, Clara looked fragile against the looming forest, a porcelain doll in a wolf's den. Then the weapon flipped, fast, terrifyingly competent. She's surfacing, he rasped. Dr. Aris shifted on the leather sofa. Memories, reflexes. Dominic gripped the sill. Her body remembers the war. His wolf paced inside his chest. Restless, it wanted to run to her, to praise the lethality of its mate. Proud, strong. Dominic crushed the instinct. Pride would kill her. A patrol guard, young, stupid, sauntered past the garden. He paused, smiled. Clara nodded. Then she pointed at his feet. Dominic's stomach turned to lead. Don't. She was correcting his stance, a lecture on balance. The guard laughed, dismissive, arrogant. He reached for her arm, a playful grapple. No. Dominic pressed his forehead to the cold glass. Contact made, violence followed. Clara didn't flinch. She seized the wrist, twisted, stepped into the boy's guard. Sweep. Thud. The guard hit the turf, hard. Oxygen exploded from his lungs. Clara stood over him, hands raised, chin tucked. Her face wasn't blank anymore. It was a mask of cold calculation. Blood drained from Dominic's face. That wasn't a hiker's panic. That was a Luna's judgment. She was pulling the thread if she remembered the cage, if she remembered the bloodrock torture. The neural block would snap. The kill switch. Damn it, Dominic spun. He tore the door open. He had to stop the resurrection before it buried her.
The guard groaned, clutching his ribs. Clara stared at her palms. They didn't shake. They felt charged, electric. I'm sorry. The apology felt foreign. She backed away. I didn't mean... Clara, the name cracked across the yard like a gunshot. Dominic stormed toward her, coat billowing like smoke. He looked magnificent. He looked lethal. The guard scrambled up, face flushed with shame. Alpha, leave. Dominic didn't look at the boy. His gaze pinned Clara. Now. The guard bolted. Silence descended, heavy, charged with ozone and imminent storm. What was that? Dominic halted inches from her. He radiated heat, a furnace in a suit. I don't know, Clara shouted, fear curdled into anger. You tell me I just flipped a man twice my size. Hikers don't do that, Dominic. She grabbed his lapels, bunched the expensive cotton. Stop lying. Tears stung her eyes, hot, frustrated. I know how to kill. I feel it in my fingers. Who am I? Dominic seized her wrists. His grip was iron handcuffs, yet his thumbs brushed her pulse points. Soothing, confusing. You were running, he said, time suspended. Running. You weren't hiking. His voice dropped, deep, tectonic. You were hunted, Clara. Bad men wanted you. You learned to fight to survive. A lie, a truth, it felt like both. Running from who? Irrelevant. Dominic pulled her close. They can't touch you here. I am the wall between you and them. He lowered his head. Chin grazed her temple. You're safe. I promise. Her body betrayed her. It wanted to melt, to burrow into his warmth and let him carry the weight, trust him. The instinct whispered. But a jagged question remained. If I was running, why did I run to you? Wail. The sound shredded the moment, high-pitched, mechanical, screaming. Dominic turned to stone against her. He looked toward the tree line. Gold fire erupted in his eyes. The man vanished. The warlord emerged. What is that? Clara's heart slammed against her ribs. Perimeter breach. A growl, deep, resonant, he released her. Get inside, he commanded. Lock the door. Dominic, G.O., the roar vibrated in her teeth. She turned. Movement caught her eye. A shadow shifted in the pines. Watching, waiting. Panic should have paralyzed her. Instead, her lips pulled back from her teeth. For the first time since waking up, she didn't feel like the prey. She felt like the hunter.
Rain lashed the porch, icy needles against his skin. The siren's wail had died, but the air still vibrated with threat. Dominic stood like a gargoyle, stone still. Marcus, head of security, mounted the steps. His face was gray. He held a box, brown paper, innocent dimensions. Left at the gate, Alpha. Marcus's voice was tight. No scent, no tracks. Dominic took the weight, light. Then he saw the script for Clara, not ink, rust, copper. The smell hit his nose, metallic and rotting. Dried blood, his wolf snarled. A guttural sound that tore through Dominic's throat. Clear the area, Marcus nodded, vanished into the deluge. Dominic stared at the package. The beast inside him paced, claws clicking on his ribs. Destroy, kill. He ripped the paper, wood, chip paint, a music box. He flicked the latch. Tink, tink, tink. Mockingbird. The melody was a lullaby to the world. To Dominic, it was a death knell, the soundtrack of the basement. The song the Bloodrock Alpha played while snapping Clara's fingers one by one. A trigger, a psychological grenade lobbed from the dark. Sick bastard. Rage blinded him. White-hot magma, he hurled the box. Crack. It struck the stone pillar, wood shattered, gears shrieked and died, the song choked, he stomped. Boot heel grinding metal into dust, crushing the nightmare into the concrete. Dominic, he spun. Clara stood in the doorway, pale, eyes locked on the debris. That was for me. Her voice was a wisp. I saw my name. Nothing. Dominic blocked her view, wide shoulders forming a wall, trash, a threat. It was a gift. She stepped onto the wet stone. Rain plastered her shirt to her skin. Maybe it was family, a clue, not a clue, Dominic roared. Fear made him savage. Poison, she flinched. The hurt in her expression was a physical blow to his gut. You're erasing me, she whispered. You want me to be a nobody. She turned, fled inside. Dominic stood alone in the downpour. He had killed the music, but the silence was louder than the song.
Clara burst into the kitchen. Oxygen, she needed oxygen, her hands shook. Tremors traveled up her arms, he destroyed it, the one linked to the outside. Miss Clara, Martha the cook, paused over a pot of stew. Are you all right? Fine. The word was a lie, sharp. Brittle, Clara gripped a glass, sweat slicked her palms. He's lying, Martha. Her voice cracked. He knows who I am. Martha studied the floor tiles. The alpha he protects. Protects who? Clara spun. She walked fast. Too fast. The service door swung open. A boy, a stack of industrial baking sheets. Collision, the boy stumbled. Grip failed, clang, metal struck tile, a cacophony, a sonic boom. Ringing, the kitchen dissolved. The scent of yeast vanished, replaced by mold, damp stone, clang, cell door slamming shut. No, red spots swarmed her vision. Iron tasted heavy on her tongue. Please stop. Clara, voice distant, submerged, her throat constricted, airway sealed. She hit the floor, knees bruised against tile. She clawed at her neck. Make it stop, she screamed. I don't know the code, I don't know. Straps, leather biting into wrists, the melody playing on a loop. She curled into a ball, rocked, darkness ate the edges of her mind. Heat, arms wrapped around her. A chest, solid as a mountain, pressed against her back. Clara, look at me. Scent engulfed her. Rain, musk, vanilla. Breathe. The command rumbled through her sternum. Kitchen, safe, I have you. Dominic. He rocked with her. A low growl vibrated in his chest, a purr. Anchoring. Focus on my voice, only my voice. Red receded. The cell door creaked open. She gasped, inhaled greedily. Dominic was on the floor, face ash gray, eyes haunted. I was there, she sobbed. They were hurting me. He pulled her tighter, buried his face in her hair. I know. His voice broke. I've got you, never again. She clung to his wet shirt. Lies didn't matter. The broken box didn't matter. He was the only gravity in a world that had lost its orbit.
He carried her upstairs. She slept. Exhaustion claimed her like a tide. Dominic exited, closed the door. He slid down the wall, head in hands, too close. A dropped tray, a noise, and she shattered. Protocol stranger was dead. Darkness wasn't protection. It was a breeding ground for monsters. Dr. Aris approached, grim, stabilized. Barely. Dominic stood. Legs felt leaden. The rival knows, Aris warned. The box was a calling card. He's coming, Dom, if she stays a fragile hiker. She dies. Dominic moved to the window, training grounds below, muddy, empty. He recalled the garden, the trowel flip, the lethal grace. Her mind was glass, her body was steel. I can't force the past, Dominic said. The pain destroys her. He turned, eyes molten gold. The wolf stood tall behind his irises. But I can build the future. How? I stopped treating her like a victim, Dominic vowed. If Bloodrock wants war, I give them war, and she stands beside me. He strode past the doctor, armory. He grabbed a duffel, fighting gloves, wraps, tactical boots, no more shield, he would be her sword. He returned to the guest room. She was awake, staring at the ceiling. He tossed the bag, thud, the mattress dipped. Clara sat up, startled. What is this? Dominic leaned in the doorway, arms crossed, no smile, no pity. Stop asking who you were, Clara. His voice was a challenge, a promise. Let's find out who you are right now.
Impact, shin met leather. Pain blossomed up her leg, sharp, electric. It felt like oxygen. 3 days, the basement gym was her universe. The sterile white walls of the hospital were gone, replaced by concrete, iron, and sweat. And him, Dominic, braced the heavy bag, gray cotton plastered to his torso, translucent with effort, ropes of muscle coiled beneath the fabric. Again! The command was a low rumble, subsonic. Clara didn't hesitate. She pivoted on the ball of her foot. Hips snapped. Torque generated from the core. Wham! The bag doubled over. Her mind was blank. She couldn't recall her mother's smile, yet she knew the precise geometry of a roundhouse kick. Good. Dominic discarded the bag. He stalked toward her. Grapple. The atmosphere shifted. Air turned molten, heavy with pheromones. He reached for her shoulder, telegraphed the move. Instinct hijacked her nervous system. Clara ducked, weaved under the limb. She clamped onto his wrist, using his mass as a fulcrum. Kinetic chess, she swept his ankle. Dominic went down, thud. He hit the mat hard, but he didn't stay there. He rolled, dragging her into the momentum. Gravity flipped. They landed in a tangle of limbs. Clara ended up on top, thighs bracketing his waist, forearm barred against his throat. Movement ceased. He was right there. His chest heaved beneath her knees. Heat radiated off him like a furnace. He smelled of cedar, salt, and raw aggression. Thump thump. Pulse slammed against her sternum. This wasn't sparring. This was biology. She stared down. His eyes were blown wide, obsidian pools, burning with an intensity that scorched her skin. The amnesia dissolved. The questions vanished. There was only the friction of denim on denim, the weight of him. You're wide open, she whispered, breathless. Dominic didn't throw her off. His hands hovered inches above her hips, trembling, fighting the magnetic pull. I know, he rasped. The tether snapped. Damn the past. Damn the danger. She leaned down. Closed the gap and claimed his mouth.
Stop her, push her. Run. Instead, Dominic broke. Her lips touched his and the chain holding the beast shattered. He groaned, a guttural animal sound torn from his chest. His hand seized her hips, bruising force. He dragged her down, fusing her body to his. She tasted of salt and bluebells. She tasted like home. For 3 seconds the lie evaporated. The rival was a ghost. He kissed her with 3 years of starvation. He devoured her. Poured the grief, the rage, and the desperate love into her mouth. Mine, mate. Luna, the wolf, howled in his skull, triumphant. She remembers the soul, if not the name. Clara melted, fingers tangled in his hair, anchoring him, perfection. Then the image flashed, Aris's chart, the brain scan, hemorrhage, the kill switch if the bond slammed back into place too fast. She died, terror, cold, absolute. No, Dominic tore himself away. He shoved her hard, a physical recoil. Clara gasped. She tumbled backward, hit the mat with a soft cry. Dominic scrambled up, backed away until his shoulder blades hit the brick wall, chest heaving. He wiped his mouth, stared at her. We can't. The words choked him. Clara sat on the rubber floor, lips swollen, eyes wide, brimming with confusion and hurt. Dominic, I thought. Stop. He snarled. He had to be the villain. He had to make her hate him to save her. Training, he lied. The word was a weapon. That's all this is. Do not confuse gratitude with desire, Clara. Cruelty, pure and simple. A dagger to the gut. She flinched, recoiled as if struck. Gratitude, her voice fractured. Get out. Dominic turned his back. He couldn't witness the wreckage he'd caused. Session over. Scramble of footsteps. The slam of the heavy iron door. Quiet reclaimed the gym. Dominic slid down the wall, sank to his knees, head in hands. He had saved her life, again. So why did it feel like he had just severed his own soul?
Run, lungs burned, fire in her chest. She bypassed the guest room. She couldn't be inside those walls, not with the echo of his rejection. Gratitude, the word was poison. She swiped furiously at her tears, stupid, naive. She ended up outside. The sky was bruised, bleeding purple and crimson as the sun died. She skirted the perimeter, far from the house. The forest loomed, dark, ancient. Stupid alpha, she muttered, kicked a pinecone. Spark. A glint caught her eye, hanging on a low branch. Just beyond the chain-link fence. Clara paused, squinted through the gloom. Silver, a bracelet, dangling like a lure, charms tinkled in the breeze, a wolf, a heart, a tiny baby shoe, her breath trapped in her throat, reality convulsed, recognition. A phantom sensation washed over her wrist, the weight of it, warm hands clasping the clasp, a deep voice whispering, happy anniversary. Mine, she whispered, a totem from the lost life. Proof she existed. She scanned the perimeter, no guards, fatal error. Reached through the diamond gap in the wire. Fingers strained toward the silver. Just a little. Fingertips brushed the metal. A hiss, a sharp sting in her neck like a mosquito bite but deeper. Clara slapped a hand to her throat. She pulled it away, a dart, red feather tail. What? Gravity multiplied. Legs turned to water. The ground rushed up to meet her, spinning, the trees smeared into gray blobs. No, she slurred. Tongue felt like lead. She tried to turn, tried to scream Dominic. Only a whimper escaped. Shadows detached from the pine trees. Men in tactical gray, faceless, smiling. One stepped forward, plucked the bracelet from the branch. Gotcha! Darkness swallowed her whole. As consciousness fled, a single devastating truth clarified in Clara's mind. He didn't reject her because he didn't want her. He rejected her because he knew. He knew she was going to die. Then, nothing.
Silence, it wasn't peaceful, it was a corpse. Dominic stood center mat, chest heaving, her scent lingered, vanilla, rain, a ghost haunting the rubber floor. Only way, he whispered. The words tasted like ash. Cruelty saves lives, that was the logic, but his gut turned to ice. A hollow ache spread through his solar plexus. Wrongness. He shouldn't have let her flee, not bleeding, not broken. Clara, no answer. He stalked to the hall. Clara, nothing. He moved, checked the bedroom. Mattress smooth. Unsleeping, kitchen cold, empty, the snake of panic uncoiled in his belly, striking. He slammed the back door, stepped onto the porch, inhaled nightmare. The vanilla was there, but it was curdled, sour fear, metallic adrenaline, and underneath, the stinging chemical reek of ether. No, a growl ripped from his throat. He didn't run, he hunted. Boots punished the wet earth. He tracked the disturbance to the tree line. He halted. Mud churned, grass trampled, the geography of a struggle. And there, glint in the weeds. Dominic dropped to his knees, a silver dart. Red feather tail, bloodrock. They had been watching, waiting for the rejection. A roar tore out of him, not human, a sound of pure nuclear agony. He pushed her away to save her. He shoved her straight into the slaughterhouse. Let me out. The beast slammed against his ribs. Kill them. Rend, tear. Dominic surrendered. He didn't strip. Crack. Bones snapped, reshaped. A symphony of fracture. Clothes shredded. Black fur erupted through skin. Jaw elongated, pain blinded him, he welcomed it. It was nothing compared to the terror of losing her. A massive black wolf stood in the clearing, eyes burning with golden hellfire. He threw his head back. Howl, not a call, a death warrant. He launched into the trees, earth tearing under his claws.
Tar, thick, suffocating, waking was a struggle against gravity. Clara moaned, cranium throbbing, limbs leaden. She tried to lift a hand, clink, steel against steel, eyelids fluttered. Gray blurred into focus, not a forest, a tomb, high ceilings lost in shadow. Concrete floor stained with old, dark fluids. She was seated, wrists zip-tied to armrests, plastic biting into tender skin. Welcome back, sleeping beauty. Voice oily, smooth. Clara's head snapped up. Vertigo swirled. A shadow detached from the wall. Handsome, sharp, cruel gray suit, pristine amidst the filth, the rival. Who are you? Her throat was parchment. Forgotten already, he pouted, theatrical. We spent such quality time together 3 years ago. He circled her, click, 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 dress shoes on cement, a pendulum counting down. I am Sela's. He leaned in, reek of expensive musk and decay. And you have something of mine inside that pretty broken head. I don't know you. She tugged the restraints. Useless. That's what your husband wanted. Husband, Clara froze, blood turned to slush. Dominic, Silas smirked. Lied, didn't he? Said you were strangers, said you were safe. He produced a remote, black plastic. He lied to keep the wall up. Thumb hovered over the button. Because if you remembered this room, if you remembered the pliers. He pressed it, static. Then a melody, hush, little baby, don't say a word. Mockingbird. Oxygen fled the room. Clara's lungs seized. The walls of her mind began to quake. He knew, Silas whispered into her ear. If you remembered what I did to your mind, it would break you. Volume rose, and if that mockingbird don't sing. Stop, a whimper. Remember, Clara. Silas's voice was a drill, boring into the neural pathways. Remember the secrets. Crack, not external, internal. A fissure in her psyche, the dam annihilated. Memories didn't trickle, they drowned her. Flash, white lace. Dominic's smile, tender and terrified, a gold band sliding over her knuckle. I love you, Clara. Flash, trees blurring, lungs burning, screaming his name. Dom, help me. Flash. This room, this chair. Pain, white-hot, infinite. AAHHH. The scream shredded her throat. She thrashed against the ties. Her brain was splitting. Hemorrhage. The kill switch. Activated. Vision bleached white. Muscles convulsed. That's it. Silas watched, hungry, a vampire feeding on trauma. Let it in. Give me the code. I'll make the pain stop. Foam gathered at her lips. Synapses misfiring. System shut down. Heart stuttering. Thump. Thump. Stop. She was dying. Dominic. She saw his face, not the stranger, the husband. He lied to save her from this agony. He broke his own heart to shield hers. Tell me, Silas roared, fingers digging into her jaw. Clara's eyes rolled back, falling, darkness rushing up. Boom, the world exploded. The warehouse wall disintegrated. Masonry flew like shrapnel, dust choked the air. Through the breach, a shadow emerged. Massive, obsidian, night-made flesh, a wolf. It snarled, a sound that vibrated the concrete foundation. Clara's head lolled. Through the haze, she saw them. Glowing gold eyes, Dominic. He came. Breath rattled in her chest. The darkness pulled her under, but she wasn't alone.
Dust coated his tongue, chalk and death. Dominic was a wrecking ball he launched, jaws snapped. Crunch, bones splintered, the scream died in the guard's throat. Dominic discarded the body. Golden eyes zeroed in. Center stage, the chair, her. Clara bucked against the plastic ties, head thrown back, convulsing. Pain radiated from her in waves. It flayed his soul, save her. The wolf abandoned the kill. He charged, a blur of obsidian rage. He shredded 2 guards who dared intercept. Impact. He reached her. He forced the shift. Snap, crack, pop, agony, bones realigning, skin stretching. He pushed through the fire. He hit his knees, naked, slick with blood, breathing ragged. Clara. He ripped the restraints. Plastic shattered. She vibrated, eyes rolled back, white foam bubbling. Make it stop, broken, whimpering. Here. Dominic hauled her against his chest. Skin to skin, I'm here. But the truth hit him like a hammer. The dam was gone. The flood was drowning her. Suppression meant death. He surrendered. Fight. He buried his face in her hair, tears mingled with gore. Remember me, remember us, shields down. He poured himself into the bond, strength, love, absolute devotion. I am here, you are safe, my Luna. The air shimmered. Silas stepped forward, gun raised, smirking, touching, dying together. Dominic ignored the barrel. He felt Clara's heart stutter. Thump, thump. Stay, he begged, come back. Silence stretched. Eternity in a second, then a miracle. Tremors ceased. Breath hitched. Her limp hand curled, a fist against his sternum, and then she growled.
Fire consuming. Clara plummeted into the void, name erased, life deleted. Anchor, not a rope. A sensation, warm, solid, granite, Dominic, voice in her skull. Pleading, remember, collision, memories didn't kill. They locked, click, wedding, ring, torture, click, 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 everything, and with memory. Rage, they stole 3 years, they stole him. Perspective realigned, not a victim, not a hiker, wolf. No more. The hiss sliced the air. Eyelids snapped open. Gray vanished. High definition returned. Dominic, gun enemy, fear, no, power detonated in her chest, hotter than pain, white-hot fusion. Get away from him. Voice distorted, guttural, monstrous, Silas blinked. What? Clara shoved off Dominic's chest, stood, legs didn't shake with weakness. They vibrated with potential energy. Instinct took the wheel, no full moon required, no practice needed, only blood. She threw her head back, scream morphed into howl. Snap, spine arched, bones liquefied, reshaped. Shift usually hurt. This felt like exaltation. White fur exploded, jaw elongated. Hands morphed into paws tipped with obsidian blades. Woman vanished. Wolf rose, magnificent, ghost white. Smaller than Dominic, faster, meaner, eyes burned molten gold. She bared teeth at Silas. The rival stepped back, gun wavered. Impossible, you were broken. Clara, the white wolf, snapped her jaws, never broken, just reloading. She glanced at Dominic, all plastered on his bloody face. She chuffed. Ready, husband. She launched.
She rose, goddess of vengeance in white velvet, most beautiful thing in existence. She lunged. Dominic moved. Her war was his war. Shift. Instant, painless. 2 wolves, midnight and snow. Bang, bang. Silas fired. Too slow. They flowed like mercury. Clara went low. White blur tackled the legs. Jaws clamped on a calf. Silas shrieked, fell. Dominic went high. Impact. Chest caved. Ribs cracked. Guns skittered across concrete. The dance began, a ballet of butchery. Guards swarmed. Mistake. Clara spun, slashed a throat before the weapon raised. Fast, impossibly fast. Dominic covered the blind spot, crushed a skull. No words, no signals. Dominic swiped high. She ducked. She circled. He lunged. The bond sang. 1 mind, 2 bodies. Silas scrambled back, bleeding, terrified. Wait, deal, we can make a deal, Dominic growled, vibrating denial. No quarter. He looked at Clara. She stepped forward. White fur dyed crimson. She stared at the architect of her nightmare, unflinching. One look conveyed the verdict. Mine. Dominic retreated, sat on haunches. Witnessed. Clara stalked Silas. Please, Silas wept. I made you. Clara paused, tilted her head. Perhaps he made a survivor, a killer. She decided to show him the masterpiece. Lunge, jaws closed, wet crunch, silence. The rival alpha was dead. Echoes faded, warehouse settled. Clara stood over the corpse, panting. She turned. Gold eyes softened, rage bled out. Exhaustion and love flooded in. She trotted to him. Pressed a wet nose to his neck. Dominic closed his eyes, leaned into the touch. Bloody, Surrounded by carnage, alive, she was back, and this time nothing would sever the tether.
Silence, heavy, absolute. The only sound was the wet rasp of breath entering human lungs. Clara collapsed to the concrete. The shift back was a car crash in reverse. Bones snapped into alignment. Skin knitted over raw muscle. She was naked, covered in concrete dust and the copper slick of a dead alpha's blood. She should have shivered. Instead, she burned. Dominic shifted beside her. Crack, pop, man replaced beast. He ignored his shredded skin, ignored the carnage. He reached for her. Clara. Voice wrecked, a slurry of sandpaper and glass. She looked, truly looked. The amnesia fog evaporated. The hiker was dead. She traced the scar on his deltoid, a training accident 3 years ago. She mapped the crinkle by his eyes, husband. The weight of the lost years slammed into her chest. Not pain. Love, suffocating, terrifying love. Dom. The name wasn't a question, it was a claim. Dominic flinched. Terror flooded his gaze. He looked like a man waiting for the executioner. Sorry, he rasped. He recoiled, putting inches between them. I lied, I had to, I thought. Clara didn't wait, she launched, not an attack, a collision. She slammed into his chest, wrapped her arms around his neck, squeezed until her muscles burned. You saved me, she sobbed into his throat. Stupid, stubborn wolf, you saved me. He froze, statue still. Then the dam broke, he crumbled. Arms crushed her ribs. He buried his face in her matted, dirty hair. He shook, the warlord, the alpha. Trembling like a child in the dark. I thought I lost you, he whispered. Every day, dead. Clara pulled back, cupped his jaw, thumb brushed the rough stubble. I remember, she murmured. The ring, the vows, us. Her heart stuttered. Thump, skip, thump. She leaned in, kissed him, not the desperate hunger of the gym. This was soft. Reverent, a seal on a treaty. Take me home, she breathed against his lips. Dominic nodded. He scooped her up, shielded her nudity from the world. He carried her out of the slaughterhouse and into the light.
3 days, the estate was a tomb of peace. Dominic stood in the center of the master suite, the real room. Clara sat on the edge of the mattress, wearing his Oxford shirt, hair smelling of fresh vanilla and soap, safe. The rival was rotting, the threat was ash. Yet Dominic's lungs refused to fill. He walked to the dresser. Oak drawer groaned, velvet box. He lifted it, lead weight. Dominic, soft, he turned. She watched him, eyes clear, ancient knowledge in the gold flecks. I can't just. Put it back. His voice grated. I lied, Clara, looked you in the eye, called us strangers, stole your history. He gripped the velvet until his knuckles bleached. I don't deserve the title, not anymore. Quiet stretched, thick, choking. Clara stood. She crossed the rug, bare feet silent. She stopped inches from him, took the box. You're right. Dominic's heart seized. The room spun. She flicked the lid. The diamond flared in the afternoon sun. You lied, she said. You broke my heart to keep it beating. She looked up, fierce, unyielding, but you walked into hell to drag me out. She grabbed his hand, slapped the ring into his palm. I don't want the old marriage, Dom. That marriage had secrets. That husband tried to protect me by blinding me. She curled his fingers over the platinum. I want something new. She stepped back, lifted her chin. Ask me again. Dominic stared. Hope, bright and agonizing, detonated in his chest. He didn't hesitate. He dropped to one knee. He held up the ring, the symbol of the wreckage and the resurrection. Clara, voice thick with emotion. My mate, my life, he inhaled. Oxygen tasted sweet. Will you marry me knowing the danger, knowing the monster I am? Clara smiled. Sunrise after a long night. Yes. He slid the band home, perfect fit. She pulled him up, kissed him. The ghosts of the past dissolved.
Wind whipped the balcony, cold. Clara didn't feel it. She gripped the iron railing. The territory stretched out. Green ocean of pines. Below, the pack gathered on the lawn. Faces turned upward. No pity. Awe, they looked at the white wolf, the Luna who clawed her way out of the grave. Dominic stepped up behind her. Solid heat. Arms wrapped her waist. Chin rested on her shoulder, grounding her. Thinking. Clara leaned back. Thumb spun the ring. Secrets. Dominic stiffened against her back. The ones Sela's wanted. Yes. The memories were there, scars on the gray matter, but the sting was gone. They were just data. I remember the codes, Clara said, voice steel. I remember the maps he forced me to memorize. I know where his bases are. I know where the money is hidden. She turned in his arms, looked up. He tried to break me to extract the secrets, she whispered. Instead, he handed me the blueprint to destroy his legacy. Dominic smiled, dark, predatory, proud. My dangerous Luna. Work to do, Clara said. Agreed. He kissed her forehead. But not today. He looked at the horizon, sun bleeding gold and fire into the clouds. Today we live. Clara watched the light fade. 3 years stolen, mind shattered, heart stopped. But as the wind shifted, carrying the scent of pine and wolf, she realized the truth. She wasn't the girl who got lost in the woods. She was the woman who hunted her way back. I forgot 3 years, she whispered, tightening her grip on his hand. Dominic squeezed back. I'll spend the next 50 making sure you never forget a second. She let the peace settle, the Alpha and his Luna, stronger, wilder, home.